really, we're just looking for deals. So we're looking for low-cost property that we can get in. We can rent. I don't care if it's ugly. I'm not living there, but I just want the cash flow to come in. This particular deal was attractive because it was turnkey, low cost. Had a Section 8 tenant in there. But also because I trust the wholesaler. So the person who was pitching me the deal is actually a podcast guest.
Okay.
She has a lot of experience investing in Cleveland, and so I kind of was taking her.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about. Does she have dreadlocks?
Yep. How do you know her?
Yeah. Just do some general research and just kind of getting acquainted with the local real estate movers and shakers. So I forget her name, but I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah.
Very cool. So I had notes. I don't have notes anymore. We're just going to freestyle it as is. There's a third box. I'm not sure what that third box is. It might be the phone. And your audio should come through just through the actual app. So you can actually hang up that phone call if it gives you that option.
Let me see here. Hold on one second. Participants.
Oh, man. Yeah, so honestly,
it's not giving me any option for the phone, just to let you know that.
We'll leave it there then. But what I was going to say is we have another property in Detroit, and it rents, it cash flows. We bought it in cash. And so really our demographic is from like 15 to 20,000. In good condition. That's what we're looking for. We're not trying to go super crazy using debt just yet, for a lot of different reasons. The numbers are just better right now, buying in cash and cash flowing it for one. And then for two, I forgot what I was going to say, but we're just kind of staying in that area. But we're not trying to go super crazy.
I understand. I understand about the cash flow right now. You don't want to gamble on appreciation too much. So I completely get it. I was just curious with the region because Cleveland's solid, Detroit's solid, and then you have Memphis as well, which has been really attractive to me. So I was just curious to get kind of pick your brain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the obvious reasons are the draws. The fact that Detroit, I think, is going to be revitalized.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And I think that we kind of we're betting on the fact that we believed in what Nita was doing. We've heard a lot about Cleveland. We started looking in Cleveland because I'm from Southern California. So everything is a bargain compared to what I have. And so we're looking for something that's going to give us the experience. We want to get the hands-on experience of owning something without having to jump through so many hoops, without having to put the bar in front of us that's so high. It's like we need to get into something, get used to managing tenants, get used to rehabbing properties. Right now, we're actually looking at the next goal. As soon as we buy this next property, because we got a pretty good discount on it, which I'm kind of leery about. But so we got a discount on
the East Cleveland property.
Yeah. Well, it started at one number, and the reason why I'm kind of leery is usually we buy property using general warranty deed, which is more secure than a quitclaim deed. They want to give us a quitclaim deed, but they're saying now we can't get title insurance because of all the quitclaim deeds in the past. And so it puts us at risk of somebody popping up trying to challenge the ownership of the property.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they hold on one second.
Yep.
Who is that?
Hold on.
Yep.
I told you I had a podcast interview. This dude lives in California.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you said at 8 though.
But he had to postpone it, so we're just doing it now.
Okay.
Just give me like 15 minutes. That's exactly what it is.
That's fine.
Okay. All right.
Cool. So
I'm sorry about that.
Let's kick it off. A lot of this conversation should be podcast conversation. All the back and forth.
Yeah.
Here. So I'm gonna kick off the intro, and then we'll be good to go. What's your name is James? What's the last name? James
Hunt.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of got flustered. I was locked and ready. I still made good use of the time, but now I'm kind of all over the place. All right, there we go. This is the Todd Capital Millionaire Podcast. This is the Todd Capital Millionaire Podcast. This is episode number 51. My name is Charles Oglesby, also known as Todd Millionaire. I'm the founder and the director of the Todd Capital Investment Club that now has over 185 members. I'm also the founder of Todd Acquisitions, which is going on to property number 2. After number 2, we're looking at number 3 in another very short time period. We're doing some great things. We're also doing some great things with Todd Ventures. We want to fund your deal. So if you have a business idea, if you have a business plan, if you have a proposal, pitch that to us. You can email us at info@capitaltodd.com to get that over to us. We want to fund your deal. We don't want you to be able to not grow your enterprise because of a lack of funding. We are the solution to that lack of funding. Thank you all for tuning in. The purpose of this show and this podcast is to share the stories of successful business owners and investors in the African-American community, because all the time I'm always getting people who I tell them what we can do and they tell me what we can't do. And so what I did is I found people who've already done it, who look like you, who likely come from similar circumstances, and we're bringing them to you so you can hear how they did it, so you can likely repeat what they've done or build upon what they've done or worked with them, what have you. The goal is to show you that it is possible, to show you that it's already been done, to show you that there's nothing that you can't do. With us today, we have Mr. James Hunt. He actually is one of the few people that approached me and said, hey, put me on the show. Usually I'm doing a lot of the outreach, so I appreciate that. And what else is cool is I told him, I was like, well, let's just get on the call today. So many times people postpone things they can do now. So I'm not a big postpone person. I'm not a big push it out 2-3 weeks person. I'm going to get it done now. So I appreciate that about you. I know that you can give yourself a better introduction. So welcome to the show, man. And can you tell us more about yourself?
Thank you very much. So basically, I'm an investor from Ohio, Cleveland area. Just got into real estate. Just celebrated my year anniversary being a landlord. What I'm specializing in is single family homes, Section 8. So what I like to do, what I've seen success at is placing properties on Section 8 in areas that are traditionally Section 8 areas. So what I noticed is there's a huge demand, especially in my city, for certain areas for Section 8. So you get a lot of people running away from what they call just gun blazing areas, bigger pockets. They talk a lot about just areas that are just pretty much war zones, as they put them. And what I discovered was if you do place a unit on Section 8 in a space that's not a traditional Section 8 area, the demand is through the roof. So even now, I can't post up a screenshot, but if I was to show you my Google spreadsheet, you would see, like, I got a property coming up right now that's going to be available. I probably have almost 300 people waiting to get in and view this property. Yeah. So the demand is there. The cash flow is there, which has been, great for me this first year. And my thing is, after this year, I'll be able to pull money out of that space because I bought smart and do it again. So it's just been a great ride. And, I'm looking to tell everybody what exactly I did and how I got there, and just share the knowledge I have and connect. So thank you for having me on.
Cool. So what drove you to real estate as an asset class?
I think just being an entrepreneur. So in college, I had a real estate company. I had a landscaping company, and just always was an entrepreneur at heart. So me and my cousin self-released a book and just did a number of different things. So I think I was on that track. And then eventually I just moved forward and got the opportunity to buy a property for $30,000. So that unit is cash flowing $750 a month. So, the return on investment has been huge compared to any type of business sector I've been involved in. So once I saw that cash flow and the potential there, I said, oh, I'm onto something. And then once I saw the demand, and I didn't even know what I was doing, I just went into it alone, didn't have any type of mentors or whatever, just kind of being a trailblazer. going through the ups and downs, I saw the demand was there. Like it was breathtaking, honestly. So, and which it still is. So right now, I just tell myself, just be patient and continue to do what I have to do because I know the demand is not going anywhere. But I'm looking forward to the future as well.
Yeah. And so, how did you finance that first property?
So I went through a lender. So they had a program going on where they were trying to revitalize the city of Cleveland. And so I took advantage of the opportunity, found a loophole which would allow me to own the property and put myself in a position to be a landlord. So I just took full advantage. I actually lived in the property myself, so I got really close to the neighbors. So a lot of these neighbors are, like I said, this is not a non-traditional Section 8 area. So the neighbors are first-time owners since, before the crash. So they may have bought these houses for $70,000, $80,000. Obviously, the values aren't there anymore. They're back where they're supposed to be in around the 30 to 50 range. So, I got in because I just put myself out there. I learned how to build my credit up using secure credit cards. And I guess the time and stars aligned. Everything was perfect. So it's been a great ride so far.
So when you bought it, how much did you put down for the down payment?
So the program they had going on allowed me to only put, I think I put $4,000 down. So, it was a real low cost in which I made, $9,600 off my first year. So a $4,000 investment. I did carpet. It was a cosmetic fix. So I knew how to gauge the area after I did a lot of searching and knew what to look for. So I knew I didn't want to go into something where I'm not a hammer and nail type of guy. So I knew I did not want to go into a space where I had to fix everything, but I knew that if I can get paint and carpet and just the small things taken care of, I would be good to go. So,
how much did you pay for the rehab?
Oh, so the rehab was around, I would say out the door, I probably paid about $2,000 to $3,000 for everything.
And you paid that out of pocket?
It was a good, yes, yep, yeah, I paid that out of pocket. So again, if you want to add the down payment and then rehab $2,000 to $3,000, maybe 7, 8 in, but so return, $2,000 profit, pretty much all around. So it's been good. And then again, I'll have equity in that home as well after this year is over. So I bought well, and it's been a great ride.
That's very cool, man. And did you do the repairs yourself, or did you hire that out?
No. So unfortunately, I'm more of a manager. So I'm not really a technical guy. So I just got quotes and just proceeded to pay for the work to be done. And again, I just reached out to those local residents and asked them, do you use anybody here? Is anybody you know of? And tapped into Bigger Pockets. And then there's the Nextdoor app, which I don't know if people are familiar with that as well, but that's another resource that you can use. It's a community-based app, and what you can do is collect references through Nextdoor. So I use all three of those resources to get a good team in place.
Nice. And so that was a single-family house, right?
Yes, that's a single family. Yep.
Okay. And so now it's your rental property, Section 8 rental, right?
Yep.
And so
yep.
you moved.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I moved after almost the second year. I was going to go, and that's one thing I would like to say is when you do have a goal in mind, you want to remind yourself to keep that in front of you, because I went over my time period. So I could have been celebrating a 2-year anniversary versus a 1, but I kind of dragged my feet. But I think that just had a little bit to do with me being somewhat timid, because again, I didn't have many resources or a lot of mentorship available, but it's been successful thus far. So it's been good.
How old are you, man?
30.
Okay.
Yeah. I bought the house when I was just turning 27.
Okay.
Yeah, so I owned it for almost 3 years now.
So you mentioned single family homes. I love single family homes, and I'm really big on it because I feel like this is just my strategy. Like I always go where the market's not going. And so we see a lot of people who were buying up multifamilies, buying up these huge developments, and they're making money, but the cap rates getting so low that it just didn't really seem like it makes sense. So think
Right.
about it. If you buy 800 units, you buy 200 units, and your cap rate is 4%, but your cap rate is damn near 50%. In fact, your cash on cash return was 200% the first year. It's like, where do you
Yes.
want to go? You're going to go where the returns are better. And I think that,
Yeah.
I mean, that's obviously why I've gone to single family. I think I spotted it before a lot of people saw it. And the goal is really to continue to exploit that advantage while everybody else is buying these apartment complexes through syndications with these people who don't really know what they're talking about. It's like we're gobbling up other single family properties. What drove you
Yeah,
to
they're available. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
what kind of drove you to single family?
Well, one, because I didn't know much about multifamilies, but I would say now, like now that I'm knowledgeable, I would say single families are attractive because at the end of the day, my business model is built upon occupancy rates. And I know for a fact that traditionally people stay in single families longer than they do duplexes and apartments. So you got millennials moving around for jobs or people just moving wherever, and then versus people want to raise a family. And me, I was raised on Section 8 growing up. So that's the ironic thing. It's like we lived in a space for 16 years on Section 8, and I did the math, and I'm like, this landlord made easily over 200 grand on just a normal piece of property that's not probably worth $45,000 today. So just knowing that people want to set up shop and don't like to move, if you get them in that single family space, and one thing that I do to make my offer more attractive, one thing I would tell people is, get the central air in the unit, get the, just get those amenities that most people won't include. Like I pay for ADT, and I think I'm going to make that kind of my motto where I'll give them a sense of security. I'm going to give you the central air, and I got people fighting over me, and so I think that business model is very attractive. And then for that demographic, it also allows them to be a choice resident versus a force. Because a lot of times people on Section 8, they might feel like they're limited to the hood or certain areas, and they feel like they might not be able to get certain amenities. But I'm like, no, you can come here and stay here for 18 years and you will have affordable living. If you want assistance with building your credit, I can even help you with that, because we can do an owner finance deal. It's just like my goal is to lock everything down. So single families were attractive just because occupancy means a lot to me. I don't like the turnover at all. So
Yeah, that's true. I think that's it's very true, because you get people who move into a house and they treat it like it's their home. And so they're going to
yeah,
care for it. They're going to be outside raking the leaves, mowing the lawn. And it's a different level
yeah,
of tenancy as opposed to people who are just in their little 2-bedroom unit within in that large apartment complex where they're in today, out tomorrow. That's one thing that I realized, and that's huge. One thing I like about single
yeah.
family is it provides a lot of different exit strategies. And so
Mhm.
whereas an apartment, it's either you're going to rent from us or you're not going to rent from us. With us, we can either have you rent from us, or if you want to buy the property, you can buy the property. If you want to have a lease option, you can have a lease option. If we want to
Yeah,
sell the property, we can just sell it outright. You can't sell one condo. I mean, you can
yeah,
just sell if you own a 16 unit, you can't sell one unit. You can't sell 2 units,
yeah,
but you can sell one of your entire portfolio of 16 single family homes. And so it gives you some flexibility. And I think that a lot of times the appeal to multifamily is great. I definitely want to own multifamily properties. We will own multifamily properties, but
same here.
there's advantages in both areas. You just have to kind of learn how to exploit them. And I think that's one of the great things that I like about what you're doing is you are not just buying, you're strategically buying. You're strategically
Yeah.
marketing the product. There's a lot of strategy behind what you're doing. How did you develop that strategy?
Well, one thing I would like to say to segue into your question is, in addition to those options that you said were available with single family rentals, don't forget about Airbnb. We have the RNC here, and I was able to make a lot of money off of the RNC just for 3 or 4 days. And so once I saw just how resourceful the unit could be and how important proximity was to, say, downtown or transit, it allowed me to see that, okay, there's a number of different ways just to segue into the next question about the single families. When you said, what was the strategy behind it? Is that what your question was?
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess, honestly, Todd, is just being in the know, so to speak. So like I said, I've been an entrepreneur since college, and this has been consistent. So I understand it's simple. You can break it down into, I think it was a movie, American Gangster, when you just talked about meeting a demand and having a product, and that product speaks for itself. So you want to have a certain level of customer service, satisfaction, and presentation and everything. So once I saw that my product was the best in that area, in the non-traditional area, like I said, again, I got 300 people waiting right now, and this is a mix between traditional renters and Section 8. They have a program called Eden, which people could also look into. That's another government subsidized program on the federal level that they give assistance to people, so they might get down payment assistance, but it opened up a number of different doors and areas that I wouldn't have been aware of if I didn't have presentation that made me stand out. So I think the thing is, you want to have give those people the best affordable living situation they can have. And honestly, only good can happen. If you're going to be a slumlord, you get slum clientele and everything of that nature. One thing I've noticed is when people call me, they think I'm going to chase the next dollar. No, when I tell them, fill out the tenant survey, I'll be in contact. We'll go through a formal interview process and see if we meet, if we come to a consensus in regards to our expectations. So you being a tenant, I have high expectations for you, because I know if you mess up here and you Section 8, you go somewhere else, you're not going to have central air. The landlord's not going to be paying for ADT. I pay for landscaping as well. So it's like, you're good. You're good. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you want to make it so attractive where it's an offer that someone cannot refuse. And they also take that high level of accountability, which you mentioned. They take ownership in the property, and that's the best type of tenant you can get, someone who actually feels this is my space.
Yeah. That's cool. So, you talked about earlier that you should have started earlier. Mm-hmm. What are some tips that you would give your younger self to kind of get off the fence? What would you tell yourself?
Well, to my younger self, honestly, I probably would have delayed going straight to college. So I went to college in 2005. That's when I started college, my freshman year. So a little bit before the crash, but during that time, the government was offering a lot of money for, say, the reserves, or if I would have went to work somewhere just to accumulate at least $10,000 to $15,000. Buying power was extreme during the crash. So you have $15,000, you might be able to buy 3 properties. Who knows?
Yeah.
Just depends on, because you think about wholesale deals you get now or whatever. People were just dying to get out. So if I could go back, I just would have told myself to save, and just take action immediately. But and as for the up and comers, I feel like we're almost on the cusp of that type of situation again. I haven't been in the game long enough to evaluate it, but I feel like prices are reaching a peak point just looking at my area. So when I see properties that hit the market and they're extremely high, and that doesn't include rehab, I'm like, oh yeah, this thing is definitely going to level itself out. So yeah. I would just say, just get as much cash and information as possible, get your credit straight, and go all in. Because you can't go, I'm getting a 23% cap rate. So find a 23% cap rate anywhere else, like stocks, I don't know. I'm just all about real estate now. So
yeah. My favorite part is just getting that check every month.
Yes,
it's way different than any other type of investing. And I've been investing since like 2009. And you invest in stocks, and the stock makes money, but it doesn't give you a check. You just see the value go up, and you only really get that value if you sell it. It's kind of like if you're speculating even in real estate or in Bitcoin or whatever people speculate in these days. And that is invaluable. That cash flow is invaluable. And it comes in a lot of different forms. It doesn't just come through real estate. It comes through business. Those are the 2 ways, business and investing. So
Right.
I think that's one of my favorite parts.
Yes, mine as well.
What are some tips that you have? Hold on, you made a point earlier, and I wanted to. Man, what was that point? Oh, so I guess one thing that I want to encourage a lot of people who are listening to do is like when I always say this: when times are fat, that's when you stack. You don't want to
Mm-hmm.
living high on the hog, taking private jets, buying Louis because times are good. I always point to that biblical story where I think his name was Joseph, and he told Pharaoh, he said, "You're going to have 7 years fat, 7 years lean." So during those 7 years fat, you need to be stacking so that during those 7 years lean, you can sustain yourself, or
Right.
you can be doubling up and gobbling up property at a discount so that then when it rises back up, you're good. And so it's kind of like the
Right.
stock market. In a lot of ways, people do the wrong things during the wrong time. We buy stocks when the
Yeah.
stock market's high. We buy real estate when the market is high. And then we sell when it's low. And the same thing is true. We spend when the market is high. We need to be saving when the market is high, saving when your income has never been higher. So if you're
Yep.
listening to this, that's why I preach frugality so much, because for a lot of us, if you're not coming from wealth, somebody has to make the sacrifice. And if somebody didn't make that sacrifice for you, guess who has to make the sacrifice? You have to make that sacrifice. So I'm making a lot of sacrifices in my life. I'm sure you made some sacrifices to get into your first property. It's just the name of the game.
Yeah.
Making sacrifices and sacrificing your comfort is really just the name of the game. So, I mean, that's one thing I think that is the most important for people who are looking to start investing is be willing to make mistakes, be willing to be uncomfortable, be willing to be creative. Because I think a lot of ways you're going to have to be creative. A lot of things that I've done have just been me being creative. So what are some tips that you have for people that are looking to get started investing?
Well, like you said, I think I forget who the quote comes from, but they said, "Buy when there's blood on the floor." So, like you want to position yourself for success, and just understand that the market goes has its ups and downs, and just making yourself more knowledgeable and just getting out there to the local RIAs, talking to property owners, and even if you don't have the capital, at least have the credit. You want to have either or you might have neither. You still.
Oh, dang. Can you hear me? Hello? My fault. I deleted. See if you could turn your audio on.
Hold on.
There we go. That's better. I did that because my system only allows 2 people on here. Otherwise, it'll kick it off. And it was going to.
Oh, so it had the third element from the phone. Okay.
It was going to time us out, and I didn't want to time us out. So the editor will edit all this stuff out.
Okay.
So yeah, keep going, man. I think that.
Oh, I didn't know if it was still recording or not. Hold on,
is.
let me turn this music off because it came on somehow.
I lost the. There we go.
All right, hold on. Okay, so what was I talking about? So you said any type of tips. Yeah, so I mean, just be ready. If you do have the cash, don't buy when it's hot, like you said. Wait and just chill and relax and study your market in your target area and just really understand what you want to do. I mean, so flipping is attractive. That's what is on TV and whatnot, but the wealth is in buy and hold. So I'm a buy and hold single family guy and, just buy smart. And that's the thing. It's like you don't want to pay over and then don't have any equity in the property. That's how people drown. So it's just, buy smart, educate yourself and be consistent and don't let anything stop you. I mean, there are a lot of different barriers you might come across, but there are also a lot of opportunities you can come across as well. And so that's why I reached out to you. I'm like, hey, I want to talk to this guy. I've been listening to him and just observing him. And I was happy when you reached back to me because who knows what opportunity this could bring down the line. So it's just put yourself in a position to win, period.
I like it. I think that one of the things I found just going to RIAs is, and I told them when I went to the RIA, I was like, I came here because I wanted to talk to people who enjoy talking about what I talk about.
Yeah.
So many times you can go around your friends, your family, you try to get them inspired and try to get them motivated about what you're motivated about, and they don't really care. And that apathy, that lack of really any interest, man, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's good to just be able to bounce ideas, and I like hearing. I don't know what true RIA looks like, but out here, it's all baby boomers. All old white men and white women for the most part, and maybe some foreign people. So when they see like a young black dude coming in, they want to talk to me naturally. And then when I actually
and
have
I
some
think
skin in the game, they respect it and more prone to reach out to me. So
it's so crazy because a lot of times people think the opposite. They think that people are just like guarded. They don't want to help you. And I found that a lot of times people, they're willing to share. They're willing to help you. They want to see you succeed. They're not over here like, oh no, you're different. So just stay over there.
And one thing that also attracted me to real estate, I would say, is the fact that people are open to providing any information you need. So they'll tell you how much they paid for, how much they made, what the cost is. Like there's transparency that you don't see in any other industry. Like I've never seen. You can't go up to most guys. You see that guy driving a Ferrari and you ask them, hey, how did you make your money? How much did you make last month? They probably won't tell you if they're not in real estate. They want to guard it as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because no single person can buy up all the real estate. So that's just the way the game works.
What other deals have you done since that first one? Is that the only?
So I got the itch. So the year after that, after my anniversary, I did buy some raw land. So just to see if there's an opportunity there. So I got into that because eventually I do want to get into just some new builds. So I'm looking to get into, again, affordable housing, but partnering with government programs to do some new builds. So if I can get new builds, but on the low end in regards to pricing, I would like to make those primarily for, people who traditionally aren't getting newer homes. Mm-hmm. So I just want to own the land. And again, at the end of this year, I'll be buying another single family. So I just got the one piece of raw land and a single family right now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think I really covered everything. And we'll have a few more minutes left, so I'm going to wrap it up. Is there anything that I missed that you wanted to share with the listeners that I haven't gotten a chance to touch on?
I would just say it just doesn't matter who you are, what background you have, just educate yourself. That's it, honestly. I mean, I'm going back to school for my MBA, and I can't wait to apply this information to my outside hustle already. But just educate yourself as much as possible. That's just what I really would say. Just Bigger Pockets, Next Door, Todd Millionaire Podcast, all the other podcasts that are out there. Just start to educate yourself.
What did you what's your favorite book?
Oh, The Richest Man in Babylon.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't
read that around. Man in Babylon. That's a great one. I would say that, and then I don't know if I can cheat, but my second one would probably be As a Man Thinketh.
It's a good one too.
Yeah,
good one too.
Those are my top two.
Man, I feel like I'm leaving some stuff off the table. I really feel like there's some other things I should be asking you. How did you find your tenant, and what was it like moving somebody into the property?
Oh, okay. So again, I didn't have any type of information. I probably Googled a couple of things, but basically what I did was I hosted one thing that I do a lot of non-traditional things, but actually end up being strategic. So on a Section 8 property, usually people just go through and post the listing through Section 8, whereas I posted it on every outlet that was available for free and hosted an open house, which doesn't happen. So I got the balloons outside, I'm showing people the property, making it like a traditional open house. And I'm talking about the block was lined up and down the street with cars for me. Like there were so many people at my open house for the first time that I couldn't even provide people with full tours of the property. I just had to tell them to sign in and leave their information.
Wow.
In which I was, it was just, I saw the demand there. And I just kind of, I don't know, I just kind of threw it out there, honestly. And like I said, I knew my product was good.
Yeah.
So it's like, as long as you know your product is good and you have a genuine heart, I think, it'll work out for you. But yeah, there was no strategy behind it initially, but I just knew my product was good and the people came and they're still coming now. So. Oh, and I would say for all the investors out there, use Google for everything. So you can create a tenant survey that I actually export to a spreadsheet so you can organize a lot of things, because you got to have your paperwork in line. Because when you're really talking about being an investor and owning a business, now you got to have a CPA technically, or a tax professional. And, there's a lot of different nuances that people don't pay attention to. But now I know how pivotal those are, especially with Trump in office. It's going to be some nice write-offs for the hustlers out there. So, so definitely have your paperwork in order.
Man, what haven't I asked you about? We talked about leasing the property. We talked about buying the property. How did you find that property?
Oh man, so the journey was long. Honestly, it's funny because my girlfriend, I actually have her. She's buying a duplex now, so I introduced her to the game or whatever. But so she asked me the same question, like, how'd you find your realtor? And honestly, I don't remember. So I met this realtor, but I do remember, I kid you not, at least 50 properties, so you're talking about someone who had no knowledge at all whatsoever when I first started. The first property, going to the 49th property. And then when I pulled up to the current unit, there was a gut feeling where I'm like, this is it. I had saw so many different situations that did not represent what I wanted for my first investment property. And so once I gained some knowledge and understanding about how it worked, like I said, as soon as I moved in, as soon as I pulled in the driveway, I said, oh, this is it. So I guess I just found it from just digging through the mud, honestly, because I've seen the worst of the worst, talking about flooring ripped apart, and you can see through the floor, to mold, to, foundation issues, and a lot of different things. So, you really just have to view properties. And for people who actually are just getting started, if you have a realtor, and you might just want to check out a space just to get acquainted with how the real estate world works in your area, just say you want to schedule a viewing, and you'll know when you walk into a property, you'll know what mold smells like immediately. And so you'll know what issues you might have, or a wet basement. And one thing I want to ask you a question as well. I know you guys are investing out of state, so you're buying unseen in a sense, right? Unless you have boots on the ground.
It's a combination. What I did is I actually I worked through a wholesaler, but I also had somebody who served as boots on the ground, somebody I met through an investment group. I always try to find somebody that I have a somewhat of a connection with, and there's trust there, who can be that boots on the ground. Typically what we found is with the investment club, we had people all over the country anyway, but then once we honed into Michigan and Ohio, we kind of lost a lot of people who weren't in that area. So we had somebody in Detroit. He helped us get the property filled. And that's really the hardest part, is getting the property filled. Everything else we can do through an app. And so I'm trying to figure out, that was kind of my thing. And I was actually talking to Kendra Barnes today, and I said, how do you get the property filled? Like, that's our only issue, is we need to figure out how to, what we just learned from you, is host an open house.
Yes.
So we need to find somebody who can do it for us. And then we'll pay them for doing that. I think we paid our lady like $100. She opened it up. She showed it to like 2 people. We filled it with 1 person. But we had a bunch of people that wanted to rent the property as well. We were getting to calls. So there's a lot of demand for rent right now, especially for single family homes, for people who can't afford single family homes, or for tax issues. A lot of tax issues kick people out of the house. So what we're doing is, it's all sight unseen, but I mean, a house is a house is a house. We use a lot of Google Maps. What I'll do is, a lot of times I'll just cruise the neighborhood on Google Maps. And so I'll go, I'll look at the house, and I'll start clicking around, and I'll pretty much get a feeling as if I was driving through that neighborhood using Google Maps. I'll zoom out, I'll see where it is in relation to like major cities. I kind of like homes that are closer to like where the major cities are, where the jobs are, where the factories are. I want to make sure it's safe. One thing I don't like seeing is, I don't like looking on Google Maps and you just see some dudes chilling. I hate that. That's like, as soon as I see that, I'm just like, I'm not buying this property.
That was going to be my question. Are you using GIS or anything like that to see about the crime density in areas?
Usually what I do is I'll look up through Trulia. And if you go through Trulia is like the only real like MLS type program that will allow you to see a crime map. And so what I'll do is, they have like green, yellow, red, and I try to buy only in green areas. Haven't bought in a red area yet. I'm not opposed to buying in a red area. I've talked to investors on this show who they're like the redder the better.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, it's very unique, and I think that as we get better and as we kind of get a better team, we can do stuff like that. But
how do you manage remotely? Because I'm actually interested, once I do build my foundation here in the next 2 years or so, is moving out west. So I'm wondering, how are you self-managing your group? How are you self-managing remotely?
Well, the crazy part about it, and I told somebody this, is that managing a piece of property is not hard. All you really do is make phone calls. I'm not going and collecting rent in person. She drops the rent off at the bank. She goes to the bank and she gives them a deposit and she puts it right in there. Or we use a website called Rentulations. We also use another website called Cozy. And so those websites are just ridiculously great. It allows them to apply for the apartment through there. It allows us to create a listing through the apartment through there, or through the product through there. It allows us to sign a lease, collect the rent. That application, that website is effectively the property manager in itself. If we didn't have that, we would be out here trying to create all these spreadsheets and create all these leases, which we could do, but it would make it way more difficult. So technology does it for us, man. I tell people all the time, like, with the way technology is, it makes no sense to have a property manager. When I was kind of cleaning up the property, when we bought it, it was in good condition. But I was cleaning it up, I went on Thumbtack. I found a painter. I found somebody to clean the carpet. I found somebody to move all the junk out the house. I found somebody to install the alarm, all that stuff. It's so easy, man. And then
Thumbtack, okay.
Thumbtack. And then there's a lockbox on the door, and so I just gave people Thumbtack access to the lockbox code. They got the key. They did what they had to do. They had the alarm. I turned off the alarm because I was using Simply Safe. Simply Safe allows you to toggle the alarm on and off from your phone. I'm in California turning off the property alarm in Detroit. Technology is just ridiculous. So what I told people is, like, the crazy part about doing is kind of like what Andy Frisella was talking about. It's like you put yourself in positions to where you have to be successful. And when you do, you always find a way. And even if it's not the best way, at least you found a way. And the next time you find a better way. Because, I mean, everything we did for property 1 was great, but what we're doing for property 2 is going to be streamlined. Property 3 is going to be automatic. Property 4 is going to be, you do it. I don't even want to touch it. This is the checklist of what we need to do. You go handle that checklist, report to me based on how many of those boxes you checked off.
Right.
So we create a system so that you can repeat that system, so that you can scale that system, so that you can go into any market and you can still apply that same system.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that's definitely the same way I'm looking to go, and it's good to see people who look like me and also think like me thinking the same way. So no,
that's the power of social media, man. It really is.
Yes, it is. Yeah, very powerful tool.
I think we can wrap it up, but I think that as your career progresses, it'd be cool to get you back on the show.
Yeah. I'll let you know when I buy that next unit. Yeah,
and honestly, you might need to work with us because we're doing a lot of stuff.
Okay.
And I'm no stranger to doing partnerships. I'm no stranger to doing joint ventures. I'm starting to get, just through the podcast, connected to a lot of people, man. Like, there's no reason why we shouldn't, like, and now I didn't know you're in Cleveland. Like, now I'm getting connected with people who are in Cleveland as well. Because the guy who was on the show like 2 days ago, he's buying in Columbus, Ohio.
I heard that one. Yep.
Yeah. And also in Michigan as well. And he has a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge. And then, of course, you have Nita. So it's like, there's no reason why we shouldn't just own complete neighborhoods and completely revitalize neighborhoods on our own.
Yeah.
So, I'm all about the money, of course, but I'm also about making a difference. And I think when you make a difference, the money comes.
Yes.
So the more people we get on board, the bigger our impact. And that's just kind of what I've seen with what I'm doing. We're moving with a lot of people, and it allows us to buy like a property a month. It's kind of ignorant. So when I hear you pushing things off, I'm like, don't push it off, man. Why are you going to push it off? What are you waiting for? What is the reason? You have the knowledge.
Right.
You know the demand is there.
Right.
So it's like, are you pushing it off because you need the down payment? We can help you. Are you pushing it off?
No, I kid you not. Like, I would love to, work with the group and work with you, but there's no, and I don't want to be cocky, but there are a few people who you interviewed so far who has as much demand as I do right now in this area, you know. So I didn't want to talk about it too much because I don't want people coming in and, you know, trying to infringe on what I want to do. But I'm telling you now, like it's crazy. So
yeah. Well,
it's feeding frenzy.
I think it's not even really competition.
Yeah. And I don't look at it that way.
I think that I'm not even looking. I feel like I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Right. But yeah, I'm definitely open to connecting and whatnot. And you know, like I said, man, I reached out to you for a reason. It wasn't just to argue or, you know, just get on and talk about whatever. I reached out to you further in the interview. So I like what you're doing. I like what you stand for. So let's definitely stay in touch.
For sure. Where can people find out more about you, man?
You can check me out on Twitter, Emporium, EMPORIUM CEO, or James_M_Hunt on Instagram. So I'm just me on there spreading positivity, connecting with people, and I also drop some videos sometimes on how to raise your credit score using secure credit cards. So that's one thing I like to do.
Very
Give
cool.
out to the community for free. So
very cool. Well, thank you for coming on the show, staying up late. I'm pretty sure it's a lot later where you are than where I am, and it's late here.
Right. All right, man. I appreciate it.
This has been another episode of the Millionaire Podcast. This is episode number 51. We're doing great things, guys. We want to elevate the entire community. As we build, you guys build. If you want to join any of our clubs, as always, you can email info@capitaltodd.com. You can contact us through the website at capitaltodd.com. You can contact me on any social media platform at Todd Millionaire. This is Charles Oglesby, also known as Todd Millionaire, episode 51, signing off. Very